everybody. I am Carolyn Byers. I'm the Education Director at Madison Audubon, and today we are doing a water critters lesson, and I'm so sorry we are 15 minutes late officially. I have a brand new microscope, and I tested everything out yesterday, and it worked fine, and now today, every single thing that could have gone wrong did. So I'm here. That's exciting. So let me just click on this video on my laptop to make sure that I can see your comments, because that's an important thing. So if anybody has questions, you can type them in and I should be able to see them. That's awesome. I'm going to be popping in and out of that, so I won't see them immediately because, like I said, we've got a new microscope and that's exciting. We've got a lot going on. So let's see, things I need to talk about first. We have all sorts of amazing lessons and activities on our website, madisonaudubon.org. You can find it on the Safer and Funner at Home webpage. All of the videos, there's like 25 now, so cool, that we've been doing are there. And we also, this is the second day of summer camp. Our Forces of Nature Kids Virtual Summer Camp is going on right now. You don't have to register to be a part of it. You can, oh, you can hear double. Oh, that's complicated. Well, how about that? Maybe that's a little better. I thought I had the right one muted. I'm sorry that that was uncomfortable for the first few minutes. What was I saying? Today's the second day of summer camp. You don't need to register to be a part of it. You can just head on over to our website and find the Forces of Nature webpage for summer camp. Week 1 is birds. It's going to be amazing. It already is amazing. I love it. All right, so today I want to talk about water critters, and they are super fun because they are generally so tiny that you don't really think about them. And I am not a water critter expert. In fact, I'm calling them water critters instead of macroinvertebrates. So I am a bird expert. So this lesson is mostly going to be about exploring and seeing something tiny with a really cool microscope. And I'll definitely have some facts to share with you along the way, but maybe we could do another video like this later this summer with an expert who can join us and tell us all of the science details that I just don't know. So I usually do this lesson with kids outside, and we go to a pond or a vernal pool, and we look for things living in the water. And does anybody know what a vernal pool is? If you want to type that in the comments, I would love to hear it. The vernal pools are a really important part of our ecosystem, especially for a lot of frogs and salamanders. They lay their eggs there. And I'll tell you why later, but usually there are no fish in vernal pools, which makes them a really safe spot for tadpoles or salamander larvae to grow up, which is why they're also really fun to explore. There's lots of cool things living there. Anyways, it looks like nobody's commented, and I hope maybe we got through the delay there. But a vernal pool is a body of water that's not there permanently. So usually it's in a low-lying, like wet area, marshy area. And when the spring snow melts or spring rain happens, those areas fill up because the water table is so high. That means where the water is underground is so high that those areas become like a little mini pond. But then as the summer progresses and things dry out, those pools, they dry up. And so they're not there all year long. They're there just long enough for salamanders and frogs and toads to lay their eggs in. They also have a lot of other life in them too. Okay, so today I went out and I looked for water critters at Pheasant Branch, actually. Yesterday I went out to the ponds in Middleton, Tiedemann and Stricker's Pond. And I actually didn't find much there. And I think it was probably because yesterday it poured all day long. And whenever you get a huge rain event like that, it just disrupts the water a bit. So I don't know if all those little critters I was looking for were hunkered down and trying to, you know, hold on to the vegetation and just stay put, or if they had gotten maybe swept away by all of that rain and they were just not where they usually are. But I didn't find anything yesterday. And usually when I go, I take a big rubber tub and I just dip it in the water and I let the water become still, and I look for things that are still moving in the water. And usually they're about the size of a poppy seed, maybe a sesame seed. So they're very, very, very teeny tiny. And I just didn't see anything moving around in the water yesterday. Well, I suppose that's not true. I did find one little water boatman, and it's in my Petri dish. You can't see it on this camera, but I'll show you on the microscope. So today I went out to Pheasant Branch. I went down to the springs, and I found a few little things there, way less than I was expecting though. And the same for the little creek that runs through Pheasant Branch. So again, I think it was the rain that maybe did that. So I want to show you some pictures of water critters. And these are the things we usually look for. And these are very large pictures. So this caddisfly larvae would be probably about the size of a few of the letters in its name. So this is a really, really big picture of it. This is a damselfly larvae. A damselfly looks like a dainty dragonfly. This is a dragonfly larvae. So did you know that dragonflies and damselflies spend some time underwater? So when they're young, it's sort of like, you know how a tadpole grows into a frog? This will grow into a dragonfly, and this will grow into a damselfly. And these life stages are underwater. I remember when I found that out, and I thought it was so cool. There's a lot of beetles that hang out in the water. And this is a mayfly larvae. I think it looks like a little crab with those legs. I didn't find any of those. Sorry, guys. And over here, there's a few other interesting things. But what I was really excited to find was a Daphnia. And it's possible I got a tiny one. We're going to look with the microscope, but there are none that I can see with my eye. And these are really cool. So Daphnia is their science name, and people also call them water fleas. And they don't bother you. They won't bite. They don't itch. So don't let any of this deter you from going swimming in a natural body of water. I still love swimming in lakes and ponds. But these little guys or gals, they are see-through. And I studied these when I was in college, and I got to look at them with really cool big microscopes that will show them this big. And you can see their stomachs are clear. So you can see when it's full of algae. They eat algae. And actually they carry their eggs in this chamber on their backs. And you can see when they're pregnant, and you can count the eggs, which I thought was so neat. So we have, I hope we have one of them in my little glass jars. We'll see. So there's a few questions being posted, and I want to answer them. Bennett would like to know if any of these creatures are endangered. The ones that I'm showing you right now are not. I am sure that there are water critters that are endangered or threatened or need our help, but the ones that I'm showing you are very common. That's a good question, Bennett. May wants to know if any of them are dangerous or poisonous. So the ones that I'm showing you today are not. There is something called blue-green algae, and that is, it's an algae, so it's a plant. It's not really a water critter, but that is something that can be toxic if you eat it or drink it. But it smells really bad when there's a big algal bloom. Usually, if there's just a little bit in the water, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you're probably okay. But often later in the summer, when it gets really hot, we'll have something called algal blooms. And that's when the algae grows really fast and all the animals that eat the algae can't control it. And so when we get those algal blooms, and it's like that green scummy layer on top of the water, sometimes it's blue-green algae that does that. So if it smells really bad and looks bluish instead of very greenish, definitely don't go in the water then. And maybe I'll try to find a resource on blue-green algae that we can post under here. But those are not water critters like I'm showing you here. So though I am not aware of any in Madison that are poisonous or dangerous. But like I said, I'm a bird expert, so don't quote me. Well, you can quote me on that, but I'm not sure that there aren't anything that is dangerous. These ones are all safe though, for sure. All right, so I have a few little dishes here with some critters in them. And I actually have some little glass containers that have a few little things in there. Can you see those little creatures floating in there? Yeah, I'm going to show you those up close. And I have my nifty new microscope. It looks like this, and I can bend this part, and this part here lets me make it zoom in and zoom out. What else do I have? Ooh, and I have this little book. It's called Pond Life. I love field guides. I use them all the time. And this is a pretty cool one. It's not super scientific. I really like it because it tells just a little bit about everything. It's got stuff about plants. It has things about algae, which are neat. I was just talking about that. All kinds of insects. Clams and mussels. And it has fish, which is super cool. Oh, and frogs and turtles. So this is a really fun book if you just want a little bit of information about a lot of things, and it's nice and small so it can fit in your pocket. It's a golden guide, and it's called Pond Life. So the first thing I want to do is try to share my screen here. So I'm not going to be able to see any comments for the next few minutes, but I'll make sure to go check back in with them, okay? So I'm going to share my screen, and the picture of my face is going to get really small, and the picture of that my microscope is showing should be much larger. All right, let me bring this down. And I know it's very blurry right now, but I'm going to try to show you a little critter. And I got to make it in focus. And this is a very fast critter, so it might be a little challenging. There you are. This is a water boatman. And it has its two eyes. Whoops, it zooped away. It has two pretty large eyes near the front of its face. Let me try to get it in there again. Oops. There, its face is pointing up, and you can see its two eyes on the top of its head, and it has two really long legs that it uses. It looks like it's trying to flap or fly when it moves. And it has that dark brown body on top. I wonder if we could get it to move just a little bit. We'll have to wait for him to move, or her. I can't tell if this is a male or a female. You see the way it flaps its arms like it's flying? Come back. There we go. Ooh. This one is so fast. Where did you go? I'm gonna find you. It's much easier if you put the little water critters in a container with less water, but then I feel bad because they can't move too much. There, I just dumped some of his water out. I'll give it more later, I promise. Oh, there's his bum. Oh, you can see more legs under there. That's pretty neat. So if you're watching with kids, I want you to talk about whether it looks hard or soft, what colors they see and where. Ha. Funny, right? And maybe what they think eats this and what they think it eats. And if anybody has any guesses about any of those things or wants to make any observations, you can put those in the comments. I've tried trapping him inside the microscope. There we go. See if that works any better. It almost looks like he has wings. I know he doesn't, but it looks like it. The way his back is textured a little. This is a very active critter. We're going to have to find one that's a little more tired for the next one. Oh, you can kind of see some other legs poking out there. They're translucent, which means a lot of light can get through them. They're almost clear. It's very neat. Okay, so who would like to see a picture of what this looks like? I am going to stop my screen share for a second. Here we go. Okay, so now I can talk to you again. All right, so this is a water boatman, and they are, I wonder if I marked the page. Here's a water boatman right here. See, they've got that long body. They have, it looks like the texture of two wings. They don't really have wings. And I really only saw one pair of legs at a time. I wonder if the other ones were all tucked in, but I definitely saw those two dark eyes up near the top. Ooh, some people are guessing what they eat and what eats them. Someone says frogs eat them, and someone else guesses fish or mosquitoes eat them. So let's see, the water boatmen, it says they are slender bugs with long hind legs that are flattened for swimming. I can think of other animals that have special legs that are flattened for swimming. See if you can type them in the comments if you can think of them. Air taken at the surface usually surrounds the insect in a silvery envelope. Water boatmen must hold on to some object in order to remain submerged. So they're really good floaters, probably because that bubble of air holds them. Adults are strong flyers. They have wings. So it looked like it has wings, but it definitely does. They're commonly attracted to lights. They feed on algae or decaying plant and animal matter sucked from bottom ooze. There are about 115 species of water boatmen, and there are two very common genera. So they can swim or fly, and I wonder if the one that I have is not an adult, because they say that adults fly well. And this one has just been sitting in this container without a lid on it for quite a while, and I think it would have flown away if it could have. That's pretty neat. I really like the texture on its back. All right, so we learned that they feed on algae or decaying plant and animal matter, so dead things or living algae. That's pretty cool. You ready to see another one? I am. We'll have to see if it's a wiggly one. Okay, so I am going to put our little boatman friend off to the side so he doesn't get hurt. And I have decided that this next critter I have, I'm going to call a she, because I've been calling the boatman a he, and I think things should be pretty equal. All right, so this one is a little bit larger, and it is, I have another one in here. Maybe you can see that, swimming around in the water. This one is very, very mobile when it's in a bigger body of water. So I'm gonna dump just a little bit of this water out so that it stays a bit stiller. There we go. Okay, so now it's moving around on the bottom here. Let me go back to share my screen, and let's see. Here we go. Okay, so now you can see what my microscope is seeing. And I need, ooh, it's so wiggly. Definitely not as fast as the boatman, but still very wiggly. All right, I'm gonna start by zooming pretty far out on this microscope. There we go. And it's all curled up right now. That's a pretty good focus on it, on her. It's all curled up right now, and see, she's opening up, she's squirming around a little bit. And this is about the size of a lentil when it's all curled up, a lentil before it's cooked. And can you see all those little legs that are sort of poking out? It's right at the middle. I think you can see my mouse. These are all the little legs splaying out. This one is wiggling quite a bit. Let me move up this way. I believe her head is up here. She's got some longish antenna. And I think those antennae are pretty important when you're trying to identify them. So let's take a look at them. This one comes out to here, and this one looks like it comes out to here. So they're about the same length, the two different types, or the two different antennas. When she's trying to squirm away, come back. It looks like, does everybody know those roly-poly bugs or pill bugs or wood lice, I believe they're called? She kind of looks like that. Like she has a very segmented body, the way it opens and closes when she moves. And you see that little fluttering in the back over here. I know that a lot of these creatures will move little either limbs or gosh, I don't even know what they're called, little swimmerets. And that sometimes helps water move through their body or their mouth parts to help them breathe. So that little fluttering might be a part of that. And when she's in this position, you can see her back pointed up towards the camera. She looks a bit like a crayfish to me in this position. And my mouse is right on her eye right now. That's pretty cool. Should we see if we can zoom in more? Maybe see her even closer. She's squirming a lot though. I'll have to see if I can make it happen. This might not work, everyone. We'll try. Cross your fingers. Everyone cross your fingers. I think this is the best view we should have. All right, I am going to show you what this is in a book, and then I'll show you her again with the microscope, okay? All right, so I'll stop the screen share. Hi again. And this, again, I'm not an expert, but I believe is called a scud or amphipoda. Amphipoda, yeah, also called a side swimmer. So these are the pictures that they have. Oh, that was just an empty one. I just put my elbow on one of the trays. It does not have any water critters in it. It was just the one that I emptied the water out for my little scud. So these are the pictures they have for them, one here and one here. And I think that looks like our creature quite a bit. All those little segments and how it curls its body up. And it has lots of little legs on the underside. So it says they're also called side swimmers, and they're widely distributed in ponds and even found in the deep waters of large lakes. So they're flattened sideways like a flea, and scuds usually live close at the bottom or among submerged objects. They avoid light. So I bet she did not like the light on my microscope. And I did find this one. I dipped my bucket in near a bunch of water plants. And so maybe she was trying to hold on to that, and the bucket sort of sucked her in when the water went in. They are scavengers on plant and animal debris, and in turn, they are eaten by fish that feed among the plants or off the bottom. So they eat dead animals that are in the water, sometimes dead plants too, and they get eaten by fish. So they're all a part of the food chain. Also, scuds are the intermediate host for tapeworms and other parasites of frogs, fishes, and birds. So part of the tapeworm life cycle is to be inside of these, and then they get eaten by fish or frogs or birds, and the tapeworm ends up in there. So that's pretty cool too. All right, it says that there are two different types that are most common. Those are the pictures here. They have gramerous, and the first antennae are as long as the second and have a small branch. And they say Hylia, its first antenna is shorter than the second. So remember I was looking at the antennas? This one, the first antenna is shorter than the second. And this one, the first antenna is as long as the second, and it has a small branch. So we need to go take another look at our little scud and make sure that the antennas are the same length. And maybe we can look for that extra little branch it has. That would be neat. I do think that the first antenna was pretty long though. I remember that. So let's go look. I'm going to share my screen again so you can see what my microscope is up to. Okay, so my microscope is on. My little Scud is sitting quietly, all curled up, so we cannot see her antennas. This is going to be tricky because we need her to move so that we can see the antennas. But when she moves, it's going to be really hard to follow her. So maybe she'll just open up a little bit, move very slowly. Whoop. She opened up. She's scooting along. Where are you? I think her head is pointing down. Isn't that interesting? There are so many animals that I would never say, I think her head is pointing down. Because I really know what most of their heads should look like. And this critter is just so different from what I usually see. Come back. I think next time we do a Microexplorers, we should do something that is not alive so that I can show you very clearly what's going on. All right, we can see antennas. Whoa. I believe, oh, come back, no! All right, I believe we can see the first antennas right up here on the top. These are the first antennas. And the second antennas are down here somewhere. So we need her to get those out. And if we can't see them, that's okay. I do remember that we got a good look at it earlier. Maybe we could all go back in the video and double check whether the antennas are the same length or not. That's pretty cool. All right, I think I'm almost ready to let our little Scud go back into a bigger amount of water because I don't want to stress her out too much. This was a long, long day. Let's try zooming in one more time though, because she's being very still right now. Think it'll work? Usually there's a second one, second zoom option that fits pretty well. Nope, she moved. Okay, everybody say goodbye to our little Scud. And next time you're out in a body of water, maybe bring a little plastic cup or a little container that you can dip and try to find them. Just make sure you put them back when you're done. And I'm going to do the same. When I am done with her, I'll put all of them back later this afternoon. Okay, so I'm going to put our little Scud over to the side so she can rest a bit. Okay, so the next thing I have is a bit of a mystery. I want to see if we have any Daphnia. Oh, I spilled a little water. Hope no critters got out. Oh, a critter got out. Ah! All right, I'm going to scoop it up with a little spoon I have, and we'll get it safe and sound back in the water, because that's the one I want to look at. Come back here, critter. I have some paper bags on my table. Maybe we can look at it in the paper bag. Okay. All right, let's see if we have anything in here, okay? Does anybody have any questions? You can absolutely type some more questions in, and I can try to answer them. Let's go back and share the microscope, and let's zoom around in here and see what we can see. So that weird texture in the background is a paper bag. And actually, how about I put it, I wonder if this is any easier to see, on some blue paper. That might be a little bit better. So you see all those little particles floating in there? The water that I took this from was actually pretty clean. Those are just all the little things, the little particles in the water. And we're looking for something that's moving. And I see one. I wonder if you all can see it too. Now I'm moving the dish right now, so all those things that look like they're moving really aren't. I wonder if we can get it to zoom in front of the camera. This one is so tiny that it would be very hard for me to try to capture it in a bubble of water. Where did you go, little zoomer? I can see it darting around. Is anyone else glimpsing it as it cruises through the screen? This is like a bad horror film where you're waiting for the creature to appear, huh? I wonder if I can do that. Try to refocus. All right, I have attempted to trap it in the middle under the microscope, but now I can't move the microscope and it just has to zoom out. It's hanging onto the edge. There it was. Oh, it's so fast. Zoom over here, little one. So this one actually looks a lot like Mickey Mouse's head. It's so tiny. It's smaller than the head of a pin. And I'm going to try to dump a little of this water out, and maybe we can get a good look at it. Sorry for the radio silence. I am trying to dump it out without trying to dump water out without dumping it out. I found it. There it is. Okay. There it is. Come on. Nope. I was trying to sneak back over to the water. Where did it go? This sneaky thing is so zoomy. We might have to find a different one to look at because this is probably not the most riveting movie we've done. Okay, I'm going to show you something else and let's see if you can guess what it is. So I'm going to start showing it to you up close. This is a bigger thing. This is something that you can definitely hold in your hand, and it's easy to see when it's crawling on a path. Who's got a guess? There's one end of it. It's like a little spirally point. I'll turn it around so you can see it from this side. It's got those ridges on it. Looks hard to me. It's a beautiful color, very yellow and brown. And you can see a little bit of a softness poking out on the underside. And actually, since this is transparent, I think I can show you the underside. I wonder if it'll focus on the animal or on the Petri dish. Yeah, I think I should flip the animal over. Come here, little one. And this is the soft underside. It's very ooey gooey, slimy. Can you see it moving? It's trying to flip itself back over. Does anyone have any guesses about what this animal is? Oh, it flipped over. Let me see. Oh, look at its little antenna. Or eye stalks. I don't think they're antennas. Those are eye stalks. Let's get that in focus. This is our little snail friend. And I don't know what species of snail it is. I could probably do some Googling later and look it up. But look at the way it's moving its little eye stalks. Those are pretty cool. And this animal has very translucent skin too, meaning you can see through it. And I just wonder, oh, it's sucking its eye stalks back in. I wonder what all of its parts are. That is pretty neat. Whoa. Let's go look at its shell again. It's got some cool color swirls in it. Since this one is so slow, I'm going to try zooming in on it. Try to focus on it again. Apparently snails move just enough to make it hard to magnify at very high power. So here's our snail again, a little bit further back. All right, last look at the snail. And I am going to stop sharing my screen so you all can see my face again. Hi. All right, so I think we should do a little Microexplorer journaling just before we're done with today. And I think I'm going to show you the snail again. It was not quite a water critter, but it was very slow and very cooperative. And I think it will be much better drawing than the one that I couldn't find at all, right? So I have my journal here, and the first thing I'm going to do is put the date on the paper. So it is June 23rd, 2020. And you can write it out, June 23rd, 2020, or you can write 6-23-20, okay? And now we're going to do Microexplorers journaling. So I am going to make 2 circles on my paper, and I actually have some pretty perfect circles right here. So I'm going to trace them, but they don't have to be perfect. So you can just draw circles if you want. All right, so now I have 2 circles on my paper. You can see that. And next to one, I'm going to write life size. And next to the other, I'm going to write larger than life. You can do this too. Life size and larger than life. All right, and this is our life size snail. So it is about the size of my pinky nail, and its shell kind of looks teardrop shaped, and it's a little bit spirally down at the base, and it has 2 little eye stalks that it pokes out. And so I'm going to hold this up here, and I'm going to draw it too. And you can draw it if you want. And you can also later look up a picture of a snail if you want to take more time to draw it. So I have my little snail with its little eye stalks, and that's what I ended up drawing. And I guess mine is a little bit smaller than life. And that's okay too. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so I am going to switch over to the microscope view again, and I think I'm going to focus on its eye stalks because those were exciting for me. And if anybody else wants to see a different part of it, you can ask me in the comments, okay? I would love to see it. So I want to share my screen again. And let's go find those snail eye stalks. That's the snail's head. And I think I can see one little eye stalk there peeking out of the shell. So I'm just going to draw the shell right now because the eye stalk is sucked up, it's tucked in. And I'm going to draw a little bit of the foot. This is actually called the foot of a snail. It's moving just a little bit right here. It's almost like I'm tickling it with my mouse. That's pretty cool. It's not bringing its eye stalks out. Maybe it doesn't like the enormous bright light I'm shining on it. Bet I could make it a little darker. Makes it a little hard for you all to see though. That was me moving the dish, not the snail moving. Wonder if that snail's going to come back. I suppose it's right here. If I come back, I mean, I wonder if it'll poke its eyes out. I don't think so. All right, so my drawing is just going to be the snail shell and a little bit of the snail foot. And I hope you were able to get a little quick drawing in of the snail shell too, nice and up close. And I'm going to stop sharing here. If anybody has anything else they want to see with this microscope, type it in the comments now, because I'm going to get wrapping up this lesson. And if anybody has anything else they want to see that's not a water critter, you know, like you're really excited about feathers or leaves, let me know, because I would love to do that. So this is what my nature journal ended up looking like. I have a life-size snail, and I have a larger than life snail shell and a little bit of its foot right here. No eye stalks. I might draw them in later because I think they're pretty cool, but I wasn't able to see them this time. Okay, everybody. We are going to be back next week with more lessons. If you need something in the meantime, head on over to our website at Safer and Funner on MadisonAudubon.org. And if all of our lessons are free and available to anyone with an internet connection, so if you have the means and you would like to support our lessons, we'll drop a link in the comments that will take you to a donation page. Thank you everybody for joining us, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.